guys are great at overcoming objections. But I'm going to teach you my process on overcoming objections on people who have no life insurance or only group insurance, which is essentially having no life insurance, no private life insurance anyways, right? Okay, people who have life insurance, they're going to have different objections. I want to talk to my agent, right? I need to think about it, blah, 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 all these different things. And we're not going to take time on this program to cover those. There's resources elsewhere. But what I feel like I can bring you value on is people who don't have coverage. So always remember this. People that don't have life insurance, that need to have life insurance, have a habit of making poor financial choices. That's why they're sitting in front of you with their family completely unprotected. Never forget that. Because if you leave them and you're a positive influence, and for 20, 30, 40 years of their life, they haven't gotten around to protecting their family, what do you think they're going to do when you leave? Right? They're going to do more of the same. You have one shot with these people to help them protect their family. It's literally life or death financially for this family. Okay? So you got to be prepared to help them understand the value and the reasons why. So remember this, most of the time, objections around people that don't have life insurance, only have group, are really stall objections. They're not objections, they know they need to do it, but again, they're just scared to commit, they're scared to take action. You know, they don't really see the value, whatever it is, it's a stall objection. It's usually like, well, you know, we just need to think about it. You know, can we do this at another time? I don't make decisions on the same day. And so you've got to be ready for that. 3-step process to overcoming every objection. Number 1, affirm them. Okay? Nobody wants to be argued with. What do you mean you need to think about it, right? Okay, affirm them. Mr. and Mrs. Client, wow, I really appreciate you for saying that. I'm the same way. I don't like to make decisions right away either. Okay? The great news is, today's not decision day. All we're doing, and we're back to that A diagram, all we're doing, I circle it, is applying today, right? And we're going to get underwritten, we're going to get a policy issued, okay? So we're just starting the process on this. Now, when it comes back and it's good, I know you want to take care of your family. We're going to make sure that this gets placed. But, you know, today is not decision day. We're not deciding on anything final. We're just starting the process. We're getting ourselves something to even make a decision on. Does that make sense, Mr. and Mrs. Client? Great. Let me grab your driver's license and let's get started. So that's objection 1. Today's not decision day. Objection 2. So you give them overcoming objection number 1, today's not decision day, and they say some version of the same thing back to you. Right? Because again, it's a stall. Yeah, I understand that, but you know, we just, we made a pact that we would never make a big decision on the same day without sleeping on it. Yeah, right. They've got a massive TV there. They have no life insurance, no savings. They got 2 nice cars in the driveway. They make decisions every day that are detrimental to their finances without thinking about it. But you're asking them to take responsibility. That's a defense mechanism that they have there, right? So you need to understand that. You say, hey, again, man, thank you for saying that. I really, really appreciate it. That's a very admirable trait. But let me ask you this. I call this the college close. Have you ever been to college? They're either going to say yes or no. If they say no, then you say, you know anybody that's ever been to college? Sooner or later, they're going to answer that yes. But one of them generally will say yes. Yeah, I've been to college. I say, great. Where did you go? Well, I went to the University of Michigan. Awesome. Very good. What did you study there? Great. Hey, listen, think about it like this. When you applied to the University of Michigan, did they have to let you in? And they think about it, they say, well, no. So, well, that's kind of like this. We can apply, but it doesn't guarantee us that we can get in. Now, when you got accepted to U of M, did you have to go there? They think about it, they say, well, no. I say, you're right. You could have gone somewhere else, not at all. Right? It's your choice. It's the same way here. Once we give you an approval, then you can make your final decision. But let me ask you this question. Would it make sense to move to Ann Arbor, which is where U of M is, buy a condo, get a bunch of U of M clothes, tattoo U of M on your forearm before you applied to U of M? Would it make any sense to do that? I say, well, no. I say, right, that's kind of like putting the cart before the horse, right? You're putting effort out and doing things, but you don't even know if you can get in or even what the offer is going to be, right? Okay, so you would apply, get in, and then once you decided that's where you're going, then you would start making some changes around that, right? Okay, very good. Well, this is the same process. What you're telling me is, I want to think about it, I want to do all these things before I even know if I'm going to be offered this, right? So let's apply, let's get you an offer, and then let's make some decisions then. Because right now, there's nothing to think about or to decide. We have 100% of the available information. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that started. And let's get some more information, a solid offer. We'll make some decisions then. Okay, great. So the third close is they say, oh, yeah, I understand that, but I'm not. I just still don't want to, really move forward today on that. Okay, so at this point, you're moving out of logic and into emotion. Those first two overcoming objections were complete logic. Here's the order in which things happen. There's no risk. Let's get you started. Now you're going to move into emotion, which is where this client is. They're not making logical, rational decisions. They're making emotional decisions. So that's okay. So you want to talk to them in the language in which they're communicating to you. Okay? So here's what I say. I listen and I say, wow, that's great. You guys really do feel strongly about that. And you know what I like? I like meeting people that have a lot of conviction about what they believe. But if it's okay, let me ask you a question. But before I do, I just want you to understand really quick. I don't want you to feel like I'm being pushy with you at all, because that's the last thing I would want you to feel like, okay? And that's not my intention at all. I'm just doing my job and trying to explain to you something, because I know if you knew what I knew, I know that you'd be going forward with this, right? So again, please don't feel that way. So I just qualify that, right? Because when you start asking them questions that get them emotionally engaged, that's a very powerful way of communicating to people. The problem is sometimes you get some very powerful responses, right? Because you're engaging them at a level that's a little different. So you've got to qualify that. And if you qualify it with, you say, listen, I just want you, before I ask you this, I just want you to understand I'm not trying to be pushy with you at all. That's the last thing I would want to do, okay? I'm just trying to help you understand something, okay? And generally they're like, oh, okay, great. And it disarms them. I say, so Mr. and Mrs. Client, and I draw this picture. This is called the A-B close. Mr. and Mrs. Client, okay? What I'm hearing you say, correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm hearing you say is, I just want some time to be able to think this through. Right? That's what you're saying to me, right? Okay, great. So either way, right, whether we apply today or don't apply today, either way, what you're telling me is I'm going to think about it, right? Okay, great. And either way, whether we apply today or not, the cost is free, right? Okay, you got to put a deposit down, but if you didn't go forward with it, you get it back. So it didn't actually cost you anything. It's a deposit, right? So either way, it's free, right? Whether we applied or didn't apply, either way it was free, right? Okay, good. But in way A, when we apply today, your family is going to start being covered for up to, right now, again, if they only apply for $200,000, you write $200,000. If they apply for $1 million, the maximum conditional coverage is $500,000. Mr. and Mrs. Client, today we're going to start covering your family for $500,000 while you're thinking about it. Okay, you got to do your underwriting and different things, but we're going to start covering you today doing this. Thinking about it and not filing an application, your family's going to be covered for $0. Mr. and Mrs. Client, let me ask you a question. Which way, A or B, better protects your family while you're thinking about it? Guys, people know that what we do is so important. They know they need to do it. They're trying to get out of taking responsibility. But at that point, generally, they get a little smirk and they're like, all right, let's go forward, right? Because you've shown them why this makes sense, okay? At this rate, I would say 80 to 85% of the people that you've sat with, that you've gone through this, are going to be moving forward with you, okay? There's a straggler little percentage that says, yeah, I understand that, but I'm just not going to move forward on anything. I decided before you got here, no matter what you said, I wasn't going to move forward. Okay, so what do? You affirm, right? I appreciate that. You answer, and then you ask them to move forward. 3 steps to overcoming an objection: affirm, answer, close, right? Okay, so close number 4 is what I call the next door neighbor. So what I do is I close up my stuff. I sit back in my chair a little bit. I lower the tone of my voice. I say, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I really appreciate you having me over. And I'm sorry that I haven't been able to convey to you, for whatever reason, the importance, because I know how much you care about your family. But before I go, let me just ask you one more question. Let's pretend, there's a neighbor down your street, 4 or 5 houses down, and, similar age to you guys, similar amount of kids, same socioeconomic status. Not you, right? Not you, of course, but your neighbor 4 or 5 houses down. And I was there, I was talking about it, they were telling me, no, I just need to think about it, I'm not going to do it today. And so I left, and, they didn't move forward. And it's not you, it's your neighbor, but God forbid, a month later, they pass away, and you're at the funeral, I'm at the funeral, and it's just a tragedy. It's a tragedy, right? And there's 300-400 people there at that funeral home. And at some point, something's going to come across every one of those people's minds. And they're going to think, I wonder if that family had what? And I let them answer. Because remember, when they say it, it's 100% true. They say, well, life insurance. I say, well, if every single person there thought it was a big deal, it's probably a big deal, right? Wouldn't you agree? But that's not really my point, Mr. and Mrs. Client. Imagine I was there at that funeral home, and that widow's father found out, right? So it's grandpa, daughter's all alone now, trying to raise 2 kids, no money. And that woman's father found out I was at their house, and for a refundable deposit of $70, we'd have been paying her $500,000. And he found out I didn't ask him one more time. He'd come up to me, and what do you think he'd say? He'd say, why didn't you ask them again? Why didn't you pull up a tent in their living room and sleep there until they bought? Why did you leave? Why didn't you take the pen, put it in his hand, and tell him sign? Because my daughter is going to have problems for the rest of her life. That's what that man would be saying to me. Imagine if he told the other people there. He'd be chasing after me with baseball bats. What do you mean you left? What do you mean you were okay telling him, sure, you could think about, why didn't you make him do this? That's what every single one of them would be saying to me. I think you and I both know this is something you should do. Why don't we go ahead and get you started, right? This is the right thing for you. And I asked them to go forward one more time. If at that point they will not move forward, I'm done. And I respectfully thank them for their time. I tell them how glad I was to make their acquaintance. I hope that at some point they change their mind, even if it's not with me. I hope at some point that you do this because it's important for your family. I shake their hand. And I leave on a positive note. I don't want people to feel badly about their interaction with us. I want to be able to say what's necessary for those kids and that spouse, right? But I don't want them to feel badly. We want to be professionals at the kitchen table. We want people to think, that when I leave, I want them to think that was somebody who really believed in what they were telling me, right? And we have a responsibility to our clients to help them move forward, a moral obligation. If we can't help them move forward, guys, we're not helping them. At some point, they're going to have a ticking time bomb, so to speak, on their life insurance policy. At some point, it's coming up, and it's not going to be pretty unless they have something through one of the Primerica companies. I hope you've gotten a lot out of this. I hope you listen to this over and over and over again until you can draw it out, until you can speak it, use the same verbiage, and I know that it's going to help you immensely, and it's going to help a lot of clients get the protection they need with an incredible company. Thanks, guys, for listening. Until next time, we'll see you again.